All right, so welcome back to the shop. So today we're going to do a little more of an in-depth look on our shoebox. We've had a lot of questions from our shop tour about the shoebox, what it does, why we bought it, things like that. So today we're going to talk about the backstory behind it, why we did it, why drying is so important in a wood shop, and then we'll have some guests that are going to talk a little bit more specifically about the shoebox itself. So in a paint shop, the biggest bottleneck really is drying. You can paint fast. We have really good painters. You know, you got your hand boost you're working on. You've got your paint line, and these can produce an awful lot of material. But you can get it through fast, and then you're waiting. You're waiting for it to dry. A lot of finishes, especially if you've got to flip them on a cart, you're waiting for hours before you can flip them. And so that creates a big bottleneck, and you can't get the throughput that we're looking for. And so in order to be lean, in order to do better and make things better, we started looking for a solution. So back in our old shop, we purchased some units. They were called the Green Fast Cure units as we researched around a little bit. And these units, they were a square box, you know, probably 2 feet by 2 feet. We had 4 of them. You could kind of move them around into place. But once we got them, they said, oh, these need to be in a room. You need to have airflow, things like that. So we kind of created this little area. Luckily, we had an area that worked. And we started using them, and they made a huge difference in our dry time, in how fast we could get products through. But they, again, were just kind of in this makeshift room that we had, and we liked them. We did. Then fast forward a couple years later, and we moved into this shop. We built this big paint area, knowing that we needed more room to dry product, get things through, and we were looking for a solution. And we were going to bring the Green Fast Cures over, but as after we had them installed, then that's kind of when we found out, oh, they're supposed to be in a room, they're supposed to have airflow. Oh, you need to put a big pipe through and create airflows in certain ways. We didn't know that before. And so we started looking for a solution that would be better and more of a self-contained. And so I worked with Coby Johnson at Advanced Machinery. They're our partner that sells us a lot of our home ag equipment. They've sold us our Maycore, and we started doing some research. And they found a company that is out of the UK, and it's Schubert's. And so the shoebox is from Schubert's in the UK. And this machine has been absolutely amazing. And compared to our Green Fast Cures, it's kind of a night and day difference. So you can hear it's running right now. So it's a fully enclosed booth. It's got 2 units in them called cats. They kind of work like a catalytic converter of sorts, but we'll get a little more information on that in a minute. But these rays bounce off these walls and dry, and then there's airflow inside of this unit, and so we can put stuff really tight and it dries, where our other units didn't work that way. And so we're able to put product in here, and depending on what we're doing, we can dry product. If we're not going to flip it, we let it flash for a minute. We throw it in there for roughly 10 minutes, and then once it flashes, or once it's dry, we bring it out and we can recoat. If we're going to flip them, we usually put them in for 20 or 30 minutes, and then we can flip them. So anyway, it's been exciting finding this. We're really grateful to have them. It's made a huge difference in our process. But now the next step we're finding is it's going so well that we're able to produce more and more, and so we're going to change some things in the paint shop. Over the next couple months, we're going to move some equipment in here, but one of the things we're doing is we're going to actually double the size of the shoebox because we're able to get so much done, so we can process it through even quicker. So that'll be a fun investment, a fun thing to see that's going on. But now that we've kind of talked a little bit about the backstory, we're going to have Mark. Actually, he happened to be in town when we were going to record this video. He comes into town a couple times a year, so we asked him if he would explain just a little bit about how the cats and how this works versus like heat lamps or drying with temperature. They have paint booths that heat up, like for automotive, those paint booths heat up and bake the finish. This is a little different technology. So we're going to talk to Mark for just a minute, and he's going to explain how the technology works. So if you couldn't hear, Darren doesn't have a mic on, but he asked how much time this saves us and has saved us versus the capital investment. And Um, you know, are these units, you know, they're not cheap, but the value that we have in them is amazing. So I would say we can produce just with this single unit probably 3 times what we could without it. When we moved into this shop, we didn't have any drying solution for a little while, and it was really hard. And so we were producing 1 job a day, maybe getting it dry and getting it through. We were filling up carts, and the carts would have to sit for hours and hours. Now, pretty easily, we can do 3 full jobs a day, and there's no struggle. So it's really fixed that process a lot. So anyway, we're going to bring Mark in and talk to him for just a minute. So, all right, so we've got Mark with us today. He's all the way from the UK. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about the Schubox and how it works, the cats versus like a heat technology like you see out there, or a spray booth that they have that heat up. What makes the Schubox unique and different?
Okay, so we use a technology called gas catalytic infrared. We pass gas across a platinum bed, and there's a chemical reaction that happens inside. So it's an exothermic reaction that produces heat and long-wave infrared. So inside the Schubox, we have elevator temperature, we have direct long-wave infrared, we have reflected infrared, and we have air movement. So that combination dries any wet coating very, very quickly. It pulls the carrier from the inside out. So if we were to dry it with hot air will skin the coating, and then you're expecting the carrier to go through that thick skin, so the drying time is long. Or you have product that feels dry on the surface, but actually it's still wet underneath. With the Schubox, it does it the other way. So the infrared penetrates the layer of coating, pulls the carrier out, so it's through dry. The drying time is much, much quicker. The energy consumption is tiny compared to using hot air, convection ovens, flame gas, electric infrared. One of the byproducts of the process, because it's a chemical reaction between gas and platinum, if we, like you, using conversion varnish, a solvent-based coating, any solvent or volatile organic compound that comes into contact with the face of the emitter, we oxidize it. So we're sending the air round and round and round inside the Schubox, and then we're oxidizing the volatiles that come off your coating. So we're drying it, we're through curing it, we're doing it at a sympathetic temperature, so it's not a hot oven. We're not baking that finish onto your timber substrate.
It's very cool in there, really.
We've got adhesive, we've got veneer, we've got solid timber with a moisture content. We don't want to be hitting it with high temperature. As gently cool as possible for a shorter period as possible. Drive out that solvent, leave those solids behind. That's what you want ultimately. And it does it in this nice enclosed, clean, temperature controlled room.
What I've liked about it too is our paint booth, the smell in the paint room has all but dissipated.
Yeah.
And so it really burns that smell off. So if you put a product inside the Schubox, right when you put it in, if you open the door, right after you put it in, it hits you pretty strong like a solvent chemical will. But after 20 minutes, you open the door and you can smell nothing.
Yeah.
It's clean, so it makes it safer for our employees. But that's the thing that we noticed is we did a whole bunch of testing with this when we first got it. And we were lucky enough to be the guinea pigs in our area with Coby at Advanced Machinery. So we did tons of testing.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first got it in, Mark actually came across and we were spraying boards at 12 wet mil, throwing them in there, trying to get it to fail. But I think because it does dry from the inside out, it dries, and then you can do a finger push test. That's what our finish lady does all the time. She'll come in and really push her thumb down on something, and you don't get, because it's dried from the inside out, it's done. Yeah. You know that you're good. Then you can flip it and spray it. So anyway.
Why? Gosh. So back in so we've been doing finishing systems for decades. Originally, this technology we could only really use it for the big, high-speed, high-value lines because the catalytic emitters are high value. They're platinum. They're expensive bits of kit. They used to be a lot more expensive proportionally. It's only really the last 20, 22 years that the cost of the platinum has come down. It's still expensive, but it's allowed us to use the technology in smaller installations. From everything that we do in finishing, you can spray stuff, you can sand stuff, you can hand spray it, auto spray, you can produce wet product really, really easily. The bottleneck is always the drying. You spray it, how do you dry it quickly? If you let things dry in ambient, for you guys in the timber sector, you're putting a liquid onto timber. The liquid acts on the timber, you get fiber rays. The longer the liquid acts on the timber, the more fiber rays you get. So, okay, it might dry overnight, but if you're then trying to sand it, scuff sand it the next day, you've got a lot more sanding to do because those fibers have all raised, because you've had to leave the coating on there for so long to dry in air. The more sanding you do, the more nibs you have to take off, the more coating you have to remove, and you're putting water or solvent onto timber. So the faster you can dry it, the better. We're not affecting anything on the timber, on the adhesive, on the laminates, on the solid. We're interested only in the wet coating. So we drive out the carrier as quickly as possible, as safely as possible, and we ended up with the shoebox and how it is, and all the variations that come with it. We've got loads of different variants. Okay, so of the shoebox installs, more than half go into the timber, the wood allied industries. They go into the glass sector. So customers that are, for example, spraying the back of glass for splashbacks, kitchens, for architectural glass. PVC industry, so extruded PVC for windows, for example, drying the coating on PVC. They go into the GRP industry, so you guys call them fiberglass house doors. So reinforced house doors where they spray a two-pack polyurethane onto a pressed grain surface. Again, we're drying out the two-pack polyurethane. They go into the aerospace industry, the automotive industry, the defense sector. Really anything that either has an aesthetic or a performance coat. These kind of systems are utilized, whether they're static boxes, whether they've got an overhead track through them, floor conveyor, automatic doors, flat tunnels, powder coat lines. Yeah, they're pretty universal. Yeah, we sell a lot. Why did you have to ask that?
You went too far on that one, Darren. They all come orange.
Orange.
They all come orange.
Orange, apart from one customer who has had theirs green, who I went to see yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Orange is better.
I agree. Orange is far better.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, but I think ultimately the takeaway is the biggest bottleneck in a paint room is the dry time. What we love about this is the dry time is drastically reduced and the quality is far better. We get a lot. The mill build is better. Yeah. You know, the dry mills are thicker because you're not sanding so much off. Everything just works better. It's cleaner, it's faster, and ultimately it's more lean for our shop. So anyway, we appreciate you doing this, Mark. Thanks for being here. Thanks for flying all the way to the United States just to make this video.
Just for you. Well, also to see Tyler's shoebox get doubled in size as well. So the shoebox is modular. Everything we manufacture is designed to be modular. So for Tyler, we're moving his shoebox out and we're going to be doubling it in size. So he's got even more throughput when he turns his factory up to 11.
And I love that. That's one of the things we like is that you can add, you can change, you can vary. Not that we ever change anything around here.
So
but
can it be changed with width and length?
So width you can do, but it does take some thought to do the width. Length is straightforward. Modular in length, no problem. Width we have to think about.
And what's the smallest box you'll do?
Smallest box is 16 foot.
So you're looking at it. This is the smallest, and it at 16 right now. We're going to go to 32 feet for a lot more capacity. So, great. Any other questions, Darren? Again, thanks, Mark. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Tyler.
Have a safe flight home.
Thank you.
All right, so we appreciate Mark coming. This has been a super exciting product for us. We're really glad we found him. Like I say, all the research, we appreciate Advanced Machinery and Coby Johnson there. We'll put a link to his phone number and email below. But it's been amazing. If you have any more questions, you're welcome to leave them in the comments or send something to him. But the other thing that we want to try and do is show people to, we see all these videos and we want kind of some how-tos, right? We're starting our how-to series. But we love how simple this machine is to control too. It's running right now, so I'm not going to turn it off. But you can see it's very simple. When we come to start it in the morning, we turn it on. It heats up till it's on standby, and all you do is hit process start and turn the fan on. Once that's running, we've got it set to run all day. You can process and set it so that, okay, I want to put something in there for 20 minutes, and then it'll go into standby mode. But we have stuff in there constantly, which is why we need to get a little bit bigger area because we have so much. But it's super simple. The other thing you can see is the temperature is very low, 34 degrees Celsius, which is in the 90s, I believe. So it's pretty low temperature. So every time you think, again, we talked about heating stuff up, you don't have to heat it. It's in the technology that Mark explained to us. That's how it works. So it's a super simple machine. And the other thing that he talked about is how inexpensive it is to run. And from experience, I can tell you it is. Even our green fast cures that we had before, very similar technology, just not engineered like this is in a full package. We used a lot of gas on those things. We ran them on propane, and we were spending about $30 every 2 days on this. This machine, if it's super cold in the paint shop, the most I've ever seen our gas bill go up is $200 in a whole month. But we're averaging about $100 a month to run this machine. So it's super efficient with energy. So anyway, it's just a win-win. It's been a win-win product for us. It's been a lean product. It's inexpensive to run. It does the job, super high quality. You can see the difference in our coatings. So anyway, we love our Schubox. So hopefully you guys are enjoying these videos. We'll have more information on other machines in our shop coming up. But that's our Schubox. So thanks for watching.